Good evening in Europe, good noontime on the East Coast in the US, good morning to those of you on the West Coast. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody else, this is John Paval here to bring you this week's roundup of the Access Arts Live live streams of chamber music. And folks, the summer chamber music festival season is starting up. This week, we will have live streams coming from two of the premier chamber music summer festivals in the United States. One of them from Brunswick, Maine, and the other one from Seattle, Washington. It's, they're located in these northern climes during the summer months where it may be a little cooler. Anyway, so I'm very happy to be telling you about that. Now, before I go any further, let me remind you, if you're watching this on Facebook, please like the video. And if you're watching this on any of our other 6 platforms, please follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live on YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and or on LinkedIn, wherever it is you may be visioning this video. And we will continue to provide you with live links to more than 1,000 live performances in the coming year. We're on a fiscal year basis, sort of. We go from September to June. Summer months that get included in advance. But anyway, listen, we have great things to tell you about starting out right away. So let me tell you about the first of these music festivals. Monday, June 30th, the Bowdoin International Music Festival in Brunswick, Maine, launched the first of many live streams to come over the next month, free of charge. Chamber music by top musicians and also student performances all month long. The Bowdoin International Music Festival has been around since 1964, so that's, I think, 60 years. It's a teaching experience for about 250 students from 20 countries or so, and all of the states. And then they have they have a very distinguished faculty roster and guest artists coming in who put on performances. So you have live streams of the performances by the guest artist and the faculty, and then you have also live streams of the performances by the students. I will be telling you mostly, or almost uniquely, about the performances by the guest artist and the faculty. But if you go to their YouTube page, you will find all of the student performances as well. And these are fine students. They're very good. It's just for the limits of time, I can only cover so much. This how do I put this? This festival is co-directed by David Ying and Philip Ying, who are both members of the Ying String Quartet, which already performed a concert which we told you about on Monday. And I'll give you a little bit of information about what you missed. You can probably find it in a replay, but we don't recommend replays. The faculty at this summer festival, they come from Curtis, from the Cincinnati Conservatory, the Cleveland Institute of Music, Eastman Institute, Indiana, Oberlin, Juilliard, Manhattan School of Music, Mannes, New England Conservatory, Peabody Institute, University of Southern California, you name it. They get about 30,000 people attending in person, and I don't have the statistics on how many people they get watching the live streams, but we will do everything we can to promote more of you tuning in to enjoy these live streams. And an awful lot of their concerts are also free to the public. So it's a terrific festival. They started out on Monday with the Ying Quartet together with Derek Bermel, who's a clarinetist and composer. And they did 2 Schubert string quartets. And in between, they did Derek Bermel's A Short History of the Universe. That's just a wonderful title for a relatively brief clarinet and string quartet piece of music. And if you missed it, I'm sorry if you missed it. If you want to find out more about it, you can go back and look at our announcement, which we gave to you about it, or else go back and look at the replay. But we insist nothing replaces a live stream performance other than an in-person attendance at a live stream. Sometimes you see more at a live stream than you will at the in-person performance, depending on where you're seated. So let's move on from this, and let me start telling you about more of these specific live streams going on this week. The first of which is later today, and it will feature a piece by a composer, a contemporary composer named Caroline Shaw. I have the impression that at least twice more this week, the Bowdoin approach is to sandwich contemporary composers in between classical traditional composers. And so I'm feeling that my approach is going to be, since I can't say everything about everybody, to focus on these new composers and their works first and foremost when I'm telling you about each of these live streams. So now let's get to an announcement about the first of these. Wednesday, July 2nd, the Bowdoin International Music Festival live streams free of charge a Mozart piano quartet, a Stravinsky piece for four hands, and a new composition by top contemporary composer, artist, and singer Caroline Shaw about traffic patterns. That will be at 7:30 p.m. This evening, Eastern Daylight Time, 4:30 in the afternoon on the West Coast, 1:30 in the morning here in Europe, and 9:30 in the morning Thursday morning down under in Australia. It might be worth staying up late for in Europe or getting up early for down under in Australia. I do want to mention and give a shout out to Peter Asimov, who wrote the program notes for this. I'm relying heavily on program notes provided by the Bowdoin International Music Festival. So the three pieces they'll be doing are Mozart's Piano Concerto No. 1 in G minor, Herschel No. 478. How's that for a classical reference? Caroline Shaw's Boris Kerner. I'll tell you more about why it's called that when we'll get in just a moment. And Stravinsky's The Rite of Spring for four-handed piano. This is a great concert. Let's start out. Let me tell you about the first piece, the Caroline Shaw's, the middle piece in the sandwich, so to speak. Caroline Shaw's Boris Kerner will be played by, it's for cello and percussion. It'll be played by Kiko Ying on the cello and Luke Rinderknecht on percussion. Kiko Ying is on the chamber music faculty at the Eastman Community Music School, and Luke Rinderknecht is on the faculty of the Cleveland Institute of Music and Cleveland State University. Here's an interesting thing about him. He made his debut with the Cleveland Orchestra, which is a fine orchestra, performing Paul Creston's Marimba Concerto. Paul Creston is one of the composers near and dear to my heart. If you don't know his sonata for piano and saxophone, go right away and hear it because it makes me cry. Reminds me of my old man. Anyway, Caroline composed Boris Kerner in 2012, so it's not a totally new piece. Who is Caroline Shaw? She is a prize-winning composer. She won a Pulitzer Prize for Music in 2013 for an a cappella piece called Partita for 8 Voices. Oh, by the way, she's also a singer, okay? And she's also a violinist. She won a Grammy Award for Best Contemporary Classical Composition in 2022 for her piece Narrow C. She won a Grammy Award just this year in 2025 for Best Chamber Music Small Ensemble Performance of her piece Rectangles and Circumstance. And not only that, she was all of the performances that are being live streamed from Bowdoin. No, I don't think that's relevant, so I'll leave it out. But one of her most recent works was a concerto for harpsichord and strings, which was commissioned by Byron Schenkman and friends. So here's the note that she provided why this piece is called Boris Kerner and what it has to do with traffic patterns. Boris S. Kerner, here, quote, this is a quote from her. Boris S. Kerner lives in Stuttgart and is the author of Introduction to Modern Traffic Flow, Theory and Control, The Long Road to Three-Phase Traffic Theory. We've never met and we probably never will. I'm not going to read it all to you word for word, but she got the idea of how this could somehow be related to Baroque bass lines, all right, and how she could use a 17th century continual style line in the cello together with percussion to bringing in flower pots into the scene. Listen, you got to hear it to enjoy it. Anyway, that's Caroline Shaw's lovely piece about traffic patterns, inspired by a traffic pattern expert she'll never meet in Germany. After that, before that, they'll do Mozart's Piano Quartet No. 1 in G minor, Kursel 478. As I said, that's Robin Scott on the violin, Melissa Reardon on the viola, R.M. Kim on the cello, and Julian Martin on the piano. To give you an idea of the quality of the expertise of the performers, Robin Scott is at the he's a first violinist in the Ying Quartet, which I've told you is two of the members of the Ying Quartet run this thing. He's a member of the Eastman Institute faculty. Melissa Reardon is artistic director of the Portland Chamber Music Festival in Portland, Maine. She's a violist with the Borromeo String Quartet. She teaches viola and chamber music at the New England Conservatory, artist in residence at Bard College, etc. R.M. Kim on the cello. He's been around a long time. He's been teaching at Juilliard since 1999. Before that, he was at Oberlin and at the Peabody Institute, going way back to 1987. He's been around so long, he actually got to study with Nadia Boulanger in France. So those are the people that will be playing that particular piece. And I give you these details so you know the quality of them. Then they go into doing Stravinsky's The Rite of Spring for four hands. And this will be played by a husband and wife team. And that, by the way, is a picture of Caroline Shaw that you've been looking at all this time while I was talking to you. I also have a picture of this husband and wife team. Rand Dank and Soyeon Kate Lee. We're going to be playing Stravinsky's Rite of Spring. Okay, well, how does that get done? Who did the transcription? The transcription was done by Stravinsky himself. This was the Rite of Spring premiered in 1913 and provoked a riot in Paris. Paris is probably the only city in the world where people would bother to hold a riot over a piece of classical music. That's why I love it and spend about half my time there. But anyway, a year before this piece came out, the thing you need to know is that up until the early 20th century, when radio came out, it was very common for composers of large-scale works like symphonies and concertos and all to put together and publish piano transcriptions of their work in order to publicize them, because you couldn't publicize your work, make money, selling recordings. They made money off of selling the sheet music. And so this was very common. So a year before the premiere of this, Stravinsky and the great French composer Debussy and pianist, they met through a friend they had in common out in Bellevue, which is a village about halfway between Paris and Versailles, up to the west of Paris. And Stravinsky brought along the reduction, they would call it a reduction, the reduction of the Rite of Spring, the Sacre du Printemps, for himself, Stravinsky and Debussy, to play it together. And they did. Can you imagine that? Stravinsky and Debussy playing his piece, The Rite of Spring, for the first time out in the little village out to the west of Paris. I mean, wow. Anyway, so this will be played by Rand Dank and Soyeon Kate Lee, their husband and wife. He teaches at Eastman School of Music. She teaches at Juilliard. They've done world premieres of pieces by like Frederic Rzewski, four hands, Alexander Gore's seven impromptus, and Marc-Andre Hamelin's Tango for four-handed piano. And Soyeon Kate Lee is also a Naxos recording artist who's done a lot of different recordings for them. So I think if you look at that whole thing together, this Wednesday night, and it's what, in about 5 hours time from now. I don't think that's something you want to miss, is it? So check it out. Then we move on to our. I'm going to have to be more brief with some of these, or I'll be talking for 45 minutes, folks. We move on to our next, but introducing these new summer festivals is important because they're going to be with us all through the month of July, and then there are other festivals that are going to be coming up in late July and then going through the month of August. So there's so much, if you're a chamber music lover, to hear about. And now what we have for you is that we remove the old photo. Now we're on to St. Mary's Perivale. Our dependable St. Mary's Perivale is back this Thursday. Thursday, July 3rd, St. Mary's Perivale live streams another high-quality chamber music concert with the award-winning Larisa piano trio playing Beethoven and 20th century composer Rebecca Clarke. That's at their usual 3 o'clock time, European time in the afternoon, 9 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast, 6 in the morning on the West Coast, and a lovely 11 p.m. Lovely time for a chamber music concert down under in Australia. I wish I had more time to tell you about Rebecca Clarke. She was a British violist and composer in the early 20th century whose life had so many different changes and peripeties to it since she was a woman. Her first compositions, when they came out, she published them under the name of a man because women were so disfavored. It was harder for women in the early 20th century to get any recognition than it was in the 19th century. Actually, things weren't always go forward, and racism, scientific racism, was much worse in the early 20th century than it had been in some of the 19th century. But anyway, I digress. They'll be doing Rebecca Clarke's piano trio, composed in 1921, and then Beethoven's piano trio in B-flat, Opus 97, the Archduke piano trio. They have won awards. They won the St. James, the Larisa piano trio won the St. James Prize, the Christopher Rowland Chamber Music Ensemble of the Year Prize, and the Weil Prize, etc. They've done residencies at music festivals in Orlando and Residarts in the Netherlands and Italy, respectively, and play around at a lot of chamber music festivals. It's always high quality. You can't go wrong tuning into this, and you do want to discover Rebecca Clarke. I don't have time to tell you more about them, but I encourage you to look them up. Look her up, Rebecca Clarke, on Wikipedia. Oh, and before I leave off with Rebecca Clarke, though I will do this, here's a picture of her. Someone to discover, I'm telling you. And now let us move on, replace that with the next photo. We move on to Friday, where we have another live stream coming out of Bowdoin and Brunswick, Massachusetts, and another new composer, another sandwich of classical music and a contemporary composer. Friday, July 4th, the Bowdoin International Music Festival live streams a suite by Stravinsky, again, a Schumann piano trio, and contemporary composer Paola Prestini's The 6 Seasons of Trees. Boy, don't you just love the way contemporary composers give names to their pieces? Anyway, this will be at their standard time, 7:30 in the evening, Eastern Daylight Time, 4:30 in the afternoon on the West Coast, 1:30 in the morning in Europe, but possibly worth staying up for, and 9:30 Saturday morning in down under in Australia. They start out with Stravinsky Suite Italienne, then Paolo Prestini's 6 Seasons of Trees, and then Schumann Piano No. 1 in D minor, Opus 63. Let's talk about Paolo Prestini's The 6 Seasons of Trees. This will be played by Linda Tress. It's for flute, cello, and percussion, and it was composed for that. And when it was first premiered about a year ago in New York, it was premiered by a group, I can't remember the name, but I have it somewhere in my notes, which was specifically a flute, cello, percussion group. It's Linda Chessis on the flute, Jeffrey Ziegler on the cello, and Luke Rinderknecht, whom I already told you about earlier in today's live stream, on the percussion. Linda Chessis teaches at the Manhattan School of Music since 1986. She's been around a long time. Founder and artistic director of the Cooperstown Summer Music Festival. And back in the days, she studied flute with Jean-Pierre Rampal at the Paris Conservatory. Some of these old timers, like those who got to study with Lily Boulanger and Linda Chessis with Jean-Pierre Rampal, they studied with legends. Jeffrey Ziegler on the cello, he's on the faculty at the Mannes School of Music, New York City, but he's a real avant-garde kind of guy, co-artistic director of a group called Vision into Art, which is a nonprofit new music and interdisciplinary arts production based in New York. As for Paola Prestini herself, born in Trento, Italy, immigrated very young to Nogales, Arizona, from a musical family. I think her grandfather was an oboist who played at La Scala, and his father was an oboist, played at La Scala, et cetera, et cetera. She went to Interlochen Arts Academy up in northern Michigan. I'm originally from Michigan, and graduated from Juilliard School with a master's in composition. Some highlights of her career: in August 2016, she composed, created, and produced the Hubble Cantata, which is a virtual reality mass exploration of the cosmos alongside the Hubble telescope. In 2016, she also composed and produced the Colorado, and she took a trip down the whitewater rafting down the Colorado River in order to get inspired about producing it. And that has toured widely across the U.S. In 2017, she started her own composing competition, the Hildegard competition, for emerging women, and in collaboration with Juilliard School Composition Department. Now, the name of the trio that first premiered it about a year ago is Solidaire in New York City. Anyway, she provided a note to go with this piece, and I will read it to you. She said, "I've been reading Time Like an Ever-Rolling Stream," which is the title of an epistle the forester Gifords Pinchot wrote for his son, reflecting on the beloved Sawkill that flows through the Pinchot estate in the Catskills. Simultaneously, I've been thinking of bloom as described by the 6 seasons of trees as bear, bud, burst, flower, fruit, fall. We also see the same stages in our own lives, in the generations of our families, and in the rise and fall of our civilizations. She goes on to talk about how trees actually make sounds, especially when they're thirsty or stressed. They make ultrasonic airborne sounds, about 20 to 100 kilohertz. We don't hear it, but bats, mice, and moths probably do. That's what you have coming for you in the 6 seasons of trees. And that's Paola Prestini. How about that? Then I'll tell you just a little bit about the other pieces. Stravinsky's Suite Italienne is played by Ian Swenson on the violin and Weikong Zhang on the piano. Swenson teaches at the San Francisco Conservatory, has done so for 20 years. Weikong Zhang is a more recent graduate of the Manhattan School of Music in collaborative piano, meaning chamber musician and accompanist. Interesting thing about her was that she started studying the piano at the age of 3 and did her first concert appearance at a Shanghai music festival when she was only 6 years old. One of these prodigies. And then they do Robert Schumann's Piano Trio No. 1 in D minor with Soyeon Kate Lee on the piano, Arim Kim on the cello, whom I've already mentioned to you in another context, and Itamar Zorman on the violin. Sorry I can't go into more detail out of all of those plays, but we do have to move this on so that this gets winded up in a reasonable period of time, folks. Sounds like a lovely concert, and I'm very curious about what the 6 seasons of trees is actually going to sound like. after that buildup. Saturday, we move on to a live stream by the Kennedy Center Millennium Stage. Saturday, July 5th, the Kennedy Center Millennium Stage live streams House of Waters, playing hammered dulcimer, bass, and drums in a way that deliberately blurs the lines between jazz, world, classical, and progressive music. That'll be at their usual 6 o'clock in the evening on the East Coast, 3 o'clock on the West Coast, midnight in Europe, and 8 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning, down under in Australia. They were nominated for Best Contemporary Instrumental Album at the 2024 Grammy Awards. Whenever people talk about erasing musical boundaries, you know that it's completely avant-garde because the tradition has the boundaries. It's Max ZT and Moto Fukushima. And they also have scored an Emmy Award-winning documentary for ESPN. And they tell us they recently rescored 3 French Dadaist-era silent films in partnership with the Alamo Drafthouse Cinema. So avant-garde, inter-artistic production interested. If that's your bag, this is it for you. Then on Sunday, I get to talk to you now about the Seattle Chamber Music Society Summer Concert Festival, which is starting up at Benaroya Hall in Seattle, Washington, starting up this Sunday. This Sunday, July 6th, the Seattle Chamber Music Society, SMCS, launches the first of 12 live streams of concerts on its main stage during the 2025 Summer Festival throughout the rest of the month of July, what they modestly call the world's largest chamber party. This will be, we'll start out, I'll give you more detail about Sunday's concert. They've been around since 1982, although I don't think they've been live streaming that long. They have top musicians from around the country, led by James Ennis. Others of the top people whose names you may recognize if you're a chamber music expert are Elena Urioste, Noah Bendix-Balgli, Juliana Avdeva, and Inan Barnatan. Cellists like Beyond Sang and Sterling Elliott. They'll be playing Beethoven, Brahms, Fanny Mendelssohn, Mozart, Schubert, Schumann, Tchaikovsky, some 20th century composers like Mieczysław Weinberg, Rebecca Clarke, and Amy Beach, and pieces by neglected composers like Mel Bonis, Charlotte Sohi, and Moritz Moskowski. They're going to use state-of-the-art 6-camera angle live streams, and during the intermissions, the bells are ringing in heaven. Instead of cutting away to hokey recordings which completely take you out of the moment, they're going to do what I say they should do: live intermission interviews with the SCMS musicians. So this will just take you more into the immersion. I hope they also go out into the audience and talk to some of the people of the audience and let them give their opinions. James Ennis, who's the artistic director of the SCMS, says this: I want every single program to be the kind of concert that if I saw it listed, I would say, I have to go to this. They'll be doing a world premiere of a piece by Martin Kennedy called Verses for Piano Quintet, which they commissioned. In the past, they commissioned Ethan Soledad's Piano Quintet Poems from Angel Island. That's in the San Francisco Bay, and other works. So let's get on to then what they have coming up for us there at Benaroya Hall on this Sunday. And I'm going to have to be more brief than I'd like to be because I'm at our 30-minute limit, and I just do not live stream. I don't even know how many people want to watch anything for 30 minutes. But anyway, Sunday, July 6th, the Seattle Chamber Music Summer Festival live streams a Haydn piano trio, a violin sonata by Enescu, and a Mendelssohn string quartet played by a merry band of top musicians from across the country, led by festival director James Ennis. Now, here's the thing. Now, this will be at 2 o'clock in the afternoon Pacific time, 5 o'clock on the East Coast, 11 o'clock in the evening in Europe, midnight in Moscow, by the way, and 7 o'clock in the morning on Monday morning down under in Australia. It's not free of charge, folks. We're going to give you the link, among other things, to the super program notes that they put out. But you have a choice of buying an individual ticket or a festival pass. It's not cheap. In-person tickets to these concerts are $65 to $70. Every concert live stream will cost you $30. So you want to take that into account. What they'll be playing on Sunday is Haydn's Piano Trio number 25 in E minor. That'll be played by Jiwon Park, Noah Geller, and F.A. Baltasig. Then they will do George Enescu's Violin Sonata number 3 in A minor, opus 25. And that'll be played by Yura Lee and Inan Barnatan. And then they will finish up with Mendelssohn's String Quartet number 2 in B flat major, opus 87. And in that you'll have James Ennis, the director of the festival, Amy Schwartz Moretti, Che Yen Chen, Beth Guberman Chu, and Edward Aaron, some of whom are members of Ennis's string quartet. I'm sorry I don't have the time to give you more detail about all of the musicians. One of the challenges I'm going to face when telling you about these live stream chamber concerts is when you have like a quintet and then a trio and then a quartet, suddenly I've got 12 people to talk about or something, just to introduce one live stream. And there's only so much time to do that. I did more of it with the 2 live streams from the festival in Maine, whose name now is just like not coming back into my mind, but I cannot do it for all of these, or these will become unreasonably long live streams. Folks, that's what we have coming up for you this week. I hope that in terms of chamber music, there's going to be even more of these chamber music concerts in the following weeks, as there are more and more of these live streams from different summer music festivals. I hope that some more, or any of these live streams appealed to you, inspired you, uplift you, or just shows you a heck of a good time when you tune in. I think that some of these original things like the 6 Seasons of Trees and the traffic patterns piece by the guy who's based by Caroline Shaw. I mean, I think these have got to be fun in some sense of the word, although they might not be funny, ha-ha kind of fun. Anyway, let me remind you, if you're watching this on Facebook, please like the video. And if you watch us on any of our other 6 platforms, please subscribe to and or follow XS Arts Live on YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and or LinkedIn. And we'll continue to bring you more than 1,000 live links to live performances online in the coming year. Ciao for now. I will probably be back on Friday at roughly the same time, 7 o'clock European time, 1 o'clock on the East Coast, and 10 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast, with highlights and recommendations for what to enjoy this coming weekend, not only among chamber music, but among organ recitals and among symphonic concerts, because some of those are coming up this weekend, especially for the 4th of July. Ciao for now, and thanks so much, those of you who tuned in. Hello, Claudia Ochoa Cruz. I just saw that you sent me a virtual hug, and I send you a virtual hug back. And I want to call out, Claudia has a blog that's called myloveofmusic.com, where she has a calendar where you can just go to her calendar page, and instead of listening to me talk for a half an hour, you can just click on a date and find out what's being live streamed on that day in terms of symphonic activity. And her research has helped to inform our live streams over the past few months. She's making a terrific contribution to helping all of us have more access to these wonderful live streams being done on a constant basis all over the world. So I hug back Claudia, and ciao for now. See you folks. Come back on Friday and listen again.